This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is okay. All of my computers have given up on me. Sorry about that. Probably powered by Pure VPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with Pure VPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to pilchpoint.live/purevpn. All right. Like I said, first episode back, things are happening, so it is what it is. So, Avram, you've got some show and tell, right?
Yes. So a couple weeks ago, a couple of new things came out that I got a chance to review, and I have right here from Logitech that I think a lot of folks would be interested in and should be interested in. First of all, we have the Logitech MX Master 3S mouse. Now, if you have been following along, you know that this looks very similar, pretty much identical to the MX Master 3 mouse. Um,
Absolutely.
never mind that I have them in different colors. The 3S is available in this color, which looks like it's white, but is called light gray. It's available in graphite, which is kind of a really boring medium gray, and then it's available in black. Um, and What's special about this mouse, which retails for $99, although the other day it was on sale for $89, and that's a lot for a mouse. But look, this is a mouse that can actually make you more productive, and uh, and so it's worth every penny. The First of all, it's got a very nice shape to it. Let me see if I can kind of show it out here. It's got this really nice sculpted side where you can rest your thumb. This is kind of a rubberized material here, and the heel, so very pleasant to touch. It's got a number of customizable buttons. So it's got these two buttons on the side, which could be your forward back. There's like a hidden button here that your thumb can press. Obviously, left and right buttons. This button up here, you can reprogram, but is actually made for shifting the mode of the scroll wheel, which is one of the key features here, which is that the scroll wheel has an electromagnet in it, which will adjust the feel of the wheel. So it can go from smooth to ratcheted. Of course, you can also just have it, as I do, be automatic. So if you start to scroll really fast, it becomes smooth. And if you scroll at normal speed, it's ratcheted. But that's something you can configure with the Logi Option software, which I'll show you in a minute. Also, one thing I really like about these is that they have a side scroll wheel. Now, you might be saying, how often do I have to side scroll? And you're right, probably you don't. But you can set this to be different things, to do things other than side scrolling, and you can set it to different things in different programs. So I have it be zoom in and out in Chrome, uh, but I can have it be volume up and down in Spotify, and I can have it be scroll left and right in Excel. So you can have it be different things in different, or I have it be zoom in and out in Photoshop. Although, so whatever you want it to be, you can make it be by program. Now, you might be wondering, if you've been following along, what is the difference between the 3S and the 3, which came out years ago? There's a couple of differences. Now, I will say that if you already have a 3, you probably don't want to bother to spend the $100 to upgrade. However, if you don't have an MX Master mouse yet, then this is a good time to get one. So it has the buttons are now quiet, so they don't make a click noise. Now, at first,
Ooh.
when I first pressed them, my thought was, "Oh, I hate this," because it didn't feel as tactile to me, and I thought, "Uh-oh, it's become mushy." But after about 5 minutes, I got used to it, and I really like it now. It does have the same amount of travel, but it's just, you actually requires a little less force, I think. And although I haven't gotten like the actuation numbers from Logitech on that, but it feels it still feels really good, and it's quiet. Now, whether you really need quiet in your mouse button is an interesting question, because even if you're on a broadcast like this one, a lot of broadcast tools have noise cancellation that cancels out that noise anyway. But if you're worried about it, this has that feature. The other upgrade is that the sensor goes from 4,000 to 8,000 DPI. So with that, now that means that you'll have a faster, you can set it. I mean, it defaults to 1,000 DPI as it did on the old one. So if you don't mess with the settings, you wouldn't notice the difference. But I turned this up to about 5,000, and that was good for working with my 4 monitor setup, getting around faster without it being too fast. So that is, that is an improvement. The other change that is not really an improvement, but just a change, is that this now uses Logi Bolt for connectivity. So you can connect to, this is really important, of course, just like the old one. It has this button on the bottom to change profiles, and it can connect to up to 3 devices. And it can connect via either Bluetooth LE or Logi Bolt. The old one used something called Logitech Unifying Receiver. The only difference between Logi Bolt and Logitech Unifying Receiver is Logi Bolt is the new dongle standard for Logitech, and it has supposedly better reception and better security, because the old one could apparently be hacked if you really wanted to hack it. Now, you don't even need the Logi Bolt, because you could just use Bluetooth, and that should work fine. So now, one thing that's interesting though is the device switching capability. It is annoying that you have to turn it over and hit this button. And frankly, Logitech should know better, because they have other mice which have the switcher button on the top. But the one thing that they have is something called Logi Flow. And Logi Flow is a software feature where you can take another computer, like let's say you have your desktop here and your laptop sitting over there, and you can configure it so that if you drag the mouse pointer off the right side of your desktop here, or the top or the left or the bottom, or however you want it, it'll drag onto that other desktop, and it will automatically change the Bluetooth profile for you. So you can treat it like one, 2 or 3 computers, like one big desktop. And you can even copy and paste across those devices. So in that respect, it's like a free program that Microsoft has called Mouse Without Borders. Now, the question though is, when you do that, what about your keyboard? So if Logitech had a solution in the form of the MX keys, which was a non-mechanical keyboard that could use Logi Flow. But no self-respecting person who really cares about productivity or typing wants a non-mechanical keyboard. So the big news is that they have released the Logitech MX Mechanical, which is Logitech's mechanical keyboard that uses Logi Flow. And there's 2 versions of it. There's the MX Mechanical and the MX Mechanical Mini. The Mechanical Mini has 84 keys. The regular Mechanical, which I'm holding here, has 110 keys. Very configurable using the software, and it has 3 Bluetooth profiles. Sadly, one of my keys fell off, and I cannot find it, which is not. But it allows you to see the switches, so that's cool. So this is available with 3 types of switches. It is available, and they are Kale Chalk V2 switches, which means they're low-profile switches. This is the blue switch version. They have the red switch linear version. Blue switch is clicky, by the way. And the brown switch tactile version, which Logitech claims they have done special work with Logitech to make with Kale to make quieter than a regular low-profile brown switch. In our tests, though, we had one with brown switches. It was not that quiet. Logitech is really pushing the brown version. They really like the idea of quiet. They think that a lot of people are concerned about making noise in their on their phone calls or in their office. I don't see that as a problem, as I come from an office where everybody has clicky keyboards and nobody cares. But and when I'm at home, I really don't care what my family thinks, because I'm going to have my clicks one way or the other. But you know, I mean, now I have my own room in this house for my office, when my daughter doesn't come in and claim it as her store. But even when I lived in a one bedroom apartment and it was just my wife and me, I would not, I would have, you got to have the thing that makes you feel the best. So this keyboard is low profile, and that is good and bad. The good is it actually has a it has 3.2 millimeter travel instead of a normal 3.6, which you would get on regular Kale switches, or 4 on Cherry MX switches. And that is enough, in my view, enough travel to not feel like you're, like it's too shallow, but it actually allowed me to type pretty fast. I was able to really have some of my fastest typing ever on this keyboard. That being said, low profile has some disadvantages. And I really don't know why they chose to go with low profile. I think they thought that that was more attractive. I don't know. I don't know anybody who has any problem with air rights to their desk where they have to worry about the keyboard being another, half an inch higher. But so I've never quite understood the appeal
You got to watch out for low-flying planes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people need low profile keyboards at all, um, but it's a thing. And so, it was good for typing, except you can't really replace. I mean, the keycaps come off, but trying to put regular keycaps on, um, they didn't really fit properly. I mean, they fit over it, but they were too big, because I guess the switch is too short. These keycaps are kind of regular ABS keycaps, and they're kind of flat. Don't really like them that much. And then even with the big problem, even with the feet flipped out, this isn't very tall, so you can't use a regular wrist rest with it. So I'm now, a lot of people, that's no big deal. They don't use wrist rests. They don't care. I care a lot about wrist rests. And so my regular HyperX wrist rest, which I love with the cooling gel in it, would not work with this. And I cannot type without a wrist rest. Fortunately, there is a solution. Logitech makes, from their prior keyboard, this, which is their MX wrist rest, which is kind of soft, kind of leatherette feel here, and it's thin. It's not nearly as comfy as my regular wrist rest, but it gets the job done, and it's about $20. There are other low profile wrist rests on the market, though, that I haven't tested. So maybe if you really want a wrist rest with your low profile, you can find something decent, but I found that to be kind of an annoyance. One more quick thing I want to show is the software, because the software really makes the experience here with the keyboard and mouse. So here you have the Logi option software, and it's showing my mouse, and you can go in and you can see that for different programs, you can actually make different things happen with the different buttons. So like for Chrome, I can make the middle button do any of these things, or I can set up other actions, or I can do ones that are specific to Chrome. And then I can go in and I can say, oh, but for Excel, I want the side button to be, the forward and back to be undo redo, and this to be horizontal scroll. And while they have some apps that they have laid out, they have predefined customizations. Any app that's installed on your computer, you can configure for. I wish, though, that you could configure for different websites in your browser. That would be even better, because I know a lot of us use our browser. Using Google Docs in your browser is not the same thing as, say, using another browser-based tool like Facebook or something. it would be nice if you could configure by that, but you can't. You can set what the scroll wheels do. You can set the DPI here. Easy Switch shows you what these are the different devices I have it connected to. This is Flow, so it shows that this is my computer and this is my laptop, my desktop and my laptop, and I have them positioned like this, so I can drag from one to the other, and then just as kind of general settings. And then for the keyboard, you can configure what the keys do. But one thing that's a little bit of a downer is these keys that are outlined in white are the only ones you can custom configure. You cannot, mess with the numpad keys or any of the other keys, which is kind of a shame. The backlighting is strict. There's several different backlighting modes. There's maybe 6 or 7, but it's not RGB. It's just plain white. And then, same thing with the Easy Switch. Now, one thing that is also a real downer about Flow, even though I really like Flow, is that it only works on devices that can have Logi options installed on them. So that's only Macs and Windows PCs. It does not work on if you have a Raspberry Pi in the mix, or another Linux device, or a phone, or something or a tablet that you want to use. You've got to use the manual. You have to manually switch your connection, which means hitting a button on the keyboard and hitting a button on the mouse. So that's kind of the story. I strongly recommend this mouse. If you don't already have a Logitech MX Master mouse, get the 3S. It is, unless you're a big time gamer, if you want a mouse for productivity, this one is really hard to beat because of the thumb wheel, the electromagnetic smart shift on the regular scroll wheel, and just that heavy customization of the buttons, and just the overall good feel. The keyboard I like, but I only really recommend it if you plan to use Flow a lot, because if you don't plan to use Flow, this is a $169 keyboard that does 3 Bluetooth profiles. You can get other keyboards that are wireless that do more than 3 profiles for less money, like my personal favorite, the Akko 3098B that I have here that's plugged in. So there, I think you really have to like the idea of Flow and using the Logi software. But what do you think?
I have been a big fan of the MX hardware for a while. I've got a first gen mouse that is in my laptop bag. I think we've got a third gen upstairs. Alante just realized that that's the mouse that he uses. I see in the chat. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
that's the mouse I use every day. I just realized it. I knew it looked familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been a big fan of the MX, particularly the mice, for a very long time. I've got 1 or 2 of the keyboards from over the years around. I like the idea of the quiet click, especially with this mouse, what's this called? A microphone that is incredibly sensitive on sound. So I like the idea of the quiet clicks, because I can occasionally, when I'm going back and re-listening to the show, I can occasionally hear myself click. When I have to, I use the Stream Deck for
Let's do a test. Can you hear it now?
I hear something, but it doesn't sound like a mouse click. I don't know what it sounds like. It sounds like you've got like a solo cup and you're pushing in the sides on it.
Okay. Well, that's not good. I mean, I put it right in front of the microphone though. So,
okay.
So how about now that it's not right in front of it?
I know to listen for it, so I'm hearing it, but I bet if you were to do it in 15 minutes, nobody would notice.
Yeah. I mean, I did test this with my coworkers on a Google Meet call, and Google Meet by default has noise canceling on it. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
our setup here has any noise canceling, but
Mm-mm.
Google Meet has that built in, as do a bunch of other things. Zoom has that built in and
Mm-hmm.
on by default. With it by default, neither the original, which sounds like this, nor the new one made any noise that they could hear. Once I turned
Okay.
it off, once I deliberately turned off the default setting, they could hear it. They could hear either one, but the quiet one was a little bit less obvious.
Yeah.
So, the quiet switch is nice, but I wouldn't upgrade for that. I think
Right.
having the more DPI has been helpful with my really big monitor setup, so that's nice. But I think overall, if you have a 3, I wouldn't bother to spend $100 to upgrade. But if you don't have either one, uh, then certainly get the 3S. The 3 is going to be going off the market, they say anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. The keyboard I like, but it's probably it's a good choice. But if you don't want to spend $169, if you're not in love with with Logi Flow, then there are other choices in the market.
Yeah. Gotcha. I liked the UI for the flow stuff. Like as opposed to Mouse Without Borders, which I understand is a garage project that was somebody playing around in their
Right.
spare time. But I liked the UI for that.
Flow
I'm going to investigate it anyway.
Flow works real. I really like Flow, but what I don't like, and when I met with Logitech, I complained to them about this, is that it only works on Mac and Windows. So if you're like me and
Does it
you want to like use
does it
what
work cross Mac and Windows?
I haven't tested it, but I
Okay.
believe it's supposed to.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's something the Mouse Without
I
Borders doesn't do.
I haven't tested it, but I believe it is supposed to.
Okay.
Now, I would be curious to know if you could do that and maintain the clipboard between the two
Mm-hmm.
as well. Uh, so I don't have a Mac here to test it with, so that's been my problem. I test it with 2 Windows machines, although it is 2 different versions of Windows. It's working for sure. 11 and 10, it works
Okay.
together. So, but it is frustrating that you can't use Flow in Windows, and then you've got to turn it over and hit this button on the bottom. And they really should give you the ability to configure like this button up here or whatever to be the
do it.
switcher
Yeah, that would
to
be
do
cool.
it. I met the product manager who's in charge of this, and I told him that, and he said he would look into doing it. So if it happens, it was me. Anyway, so anyway, so that's the so. Do we have more on these? You can read my full reviews of them on tomshardware.com. They're live there right now.
Fantastic. Well, I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a lot of writing out in the wild on it, and I've gotten some stuff from Logitech on it. But getting to see the hardware in motion and hear your thoughts on it definitely is helpful to me in making a possible future decision. Especially in an environment like ours with software and gaming and the studio, mice wear out. Yeah.
Yep.
Alante's an artist, and we kill mice, so it's good to know that the new version of the mouse is solid. So thank you for that view, and as always, Avram, I look forward to what we talk about next time. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, Please subscribe to our channel and, of course, hit the notification bell since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.